Notice from the Foundation Records and Information Security Administration. This database file represents the initial stages of research collation, data entry, and editing. It is not intended for general viewing, and it is not to be considered accurate or complete until its publication. Maria Jones, Director, RASA.
Currently being edited by
Dr. Michael D. Nass, Chair of Theology and Teleology, Site 43.
Dr. Brenda Corbin, Assistant Chair of Theology and Teleology, Site 43.
We'll do this line by line, from conprocs to addenda, over the next few days. Sound good?
Sounds great. I can't wait to get started on this one, Michael.
Such enthusiasm. What have you done with Brenda?
I love the raw potential of a new object, and we haven't had one in ages.
Well, start us off then. Do the header.
Item 5866, Level 3 Confidential. Containment Class, Esoteric. Secondary Class, Tiamat. Disruption Class, Amida. Risk Class, Critical.
How is this Tiamat class? It's dead.
But it is Tiamat, as in the actual goddess.
That's not how it works. Furthermore, how is this critical? Or Amida?
You'll see. Let's keep going.
ACS was a mistake.
Just start the conprocs, would you?
Footnote 1. Tiamat class objects pose an immediate threat which can only be contained via veil-breaking actions.
Special Containment Procedures. The remains of SCP-5866 are to be stored in a transparent container suspended within a standard containment chamber at Site 43, not less than 10 meters by 10 meters by 10 meters in size.
We don't specify chamber sizes anymore.
We do when it's important, which it is, here. We don't want it proselytizing to passersby.
Yeah, because then it might make them actually believe in something. Ooh. Which reminds me, due to its likely origin as an object of religious worship, personnel are forbidden to discuss matters of faith with SCP-5866 unless under the direction of Dr. Michael D. Nass.
What about Dr. Brenda Corbin?
I'm retiring.
Lies. You wouldn't know what to do with yourself.
Live a little, maybe? Get some fresh air? Sleep at night? Anyway, description's all yours, buddy.
Fine, but you're doing the interviews.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Description. SCP-5866 is the conscious, sapient, skeletal remains of an enormous sea serpent. Radiocarbon dating suggests the serpent has been deceased since approximately 4000 BCE.
Tiamat. It's the remains of Tiamat. That belongs in the lead.
We don't know that yet, and this isn't Wikipedia, Brenda.
SCP-5866 is capable of telepathic communication within a range of approximately 4 meters. It is communicated to Foundation researchers that it is the deity Tiamat, the primordial goddess of the sea salt in ancient Babylonian religion.
This isn't Wikipedia.
Then why did you just quote Wikipedia?
I wrote the Wikipedia page on Tiamat. I'm quoting myself.
Original research.
When are you retiring? It's soon, right?
SCP-5866's remains have no obvious anomalous qualities, aside from their unusual proportions. It has been cooperative and cordial thus far, demonstrating an interest in present-day human religious practices and the state of the Earth's oceans.
And that's why it should be safe class. Brenda, stop editing it back to Tiamat.
If you still think it's safe by the time that we publish, I'll change it back.
If you've given me a reason to think it's veil-breaking by then, you can change it back.
You should knock off for the weekend, boss. Go see a movie. Feed your imagination.
Back at it.
Addendum 5866-1, Discovery. The remains comprising SCP-5866 were discovered in an underwater cave in the Persian Gulf on January 8, 2021, during an oil spill cleanup operation. The Foundation seized the remains under cover of an international paleontology commission and transported them to Site-43 to undergo achromatic abatement procedures.
They were gonna break her down? That's horrible.
You think the world needs more sea serpent goddesses in it?
That a rhetorical question?
No.
Well, mine was. I pity the researcher who never gets to talk to a genuine monster.
Upon arrival at Site-43, however, SCP-5866 began to communicate telepathically with Foundation researchers, and the present special containment procedures were devised.
Your in-depth interview with the subject was yesterday, wasn't it?
Sick yesterday. Got it done this morning.
Anything serious?
Appending the log below.
I can't wait to see what's in here that caused you to label it Tiamat class again.
Containment class discussions are so tedious.
I would have said potentially life-saving, but you do you.
Addendum 58662, First Interview.
On January 14th, 2021, Dr. Brenda Corbin conversed with SCP-5866. Its responses were recorded using an experimental alpha-beta brainwave decoder. Can you hear me, Tia? Can you hear me, SCP-5866?
Yes? Hello, Brenda. You do not need to speak.
It's a habit. I don't meet many telepaths.
Do you meet many goddesses?
Actually, I haven't met any goddesses.
I am a goddess. Are you excited?
Let's leave that off the record. It can be our little secret.
I am amenable.
Yes, by deific standards, you seem very friendly. Are you comfortable?
No, I am dead.
Yeah, that's fair. So how is it we're conversing if you're dead?
I do not know. Perhaps you are imagining it?
No, you talked to the researchers who brought you in, too.
Perhaps you are all imagining me.
Perhaps. So, you're dead. Do you know how that happened?
Yes, I was slain by Amar Utuk, my body broken, my eyes made a font for the mighty rivers of Babylonia, my ribs the vault of heaven. It was very memorable.
My sympathies.
It happens.
To all of us, eventually. At least you got to go out in style.
I would recommend it when your time comes.
Maybe I'll bounce some ideas off ya. So, what happened after you died?
I was buried.
And then...
And then you found me and buried me again.
Surely something happened in between. Babylonian mythology took place thousands of years ago.
I have only faint impressions.
My first, probably my last goddess, and she doesn't have anything interesting to say?
I believe I may have been a dragon. I believe I may have had many heads. I do not know when that may have been.
I said after you died?
Yes.
Okay, that gives me something to go on at least. What do you remember from the time before your death?
I was mother to demigods and monsters. I wonder how they are doing today. They fought for me. I liked that. And then I died.
Anything else?
I could tell you their names.
I think I have them already. Thank you.
Dr. Corbin examines the remains.
You must have been quite impressive in your prime.
I was vast and terrible, Brenda. You would have been struck with awe at the sight of me.
I'm sorry I missed it.
I am sorry also. Perhaps another time.
Wouldn't that be something? All right. Is there anything you need? Or anything you'd like to tell me that we haven't already covered?
Do you have any Babylonians? I would like to meet them, if you do.
Let me get back to you on that.
So, it's a box of bones that only knows what we already know about Tiamat, and therefore isn't Tiamat class.
Maybe that's all there is to know about Tiamat.
Maybe it being a box of bones is the salient bit.
We're hosting the Tactical Theology Symposium next week, and we should get some outside opinions.
Fine. I'll be busy organizing and lecturing, so you take point on that.
Excellent. In the meantime, I have some new questions to ask.
Ask it if it thinks it's an apocalyptic threat.
Addendum 58663, second interview.
On January 18th, 2021, Dr. Corbin again conversed with SCP-5866.
Welcome back, Brenda. You seem tired. Is your head...
Hello, SCP-5866.
That sounds so awkward. Could you call me 5866 instead?
Sure. We're friends now?
I have never had friends before. I have had worshippers, but they are not very like friends.
Well, I'm not going to worship a pile of bones in a box.
I was not always a pile of bones in a box. I will not always be a pile of bones in a box.
Ooh, do tell.
Use your imagination, Brenda. It still works.
5866. I'd like to ask you another question about your past. You might need to think really hard about it.
I am not busy.
Not really, eh? Alright, so, do you remember Azgorath?
Azgorath. Azgorath, yes. Azgorath, the World Shaper, was my father. Or my mother. One of those. Or maybe both.
Very good, we're making progress. Now, you mentioned having many heads at one point?
5. It was 5 heads, definitely. 5 heads is too many, don't you think?
A bit excessive, maybe, but certainly a sight to see. Do you remember the 9 hells?
Of course I remember the 9 hells. I was trapped there for millennia. I lorded over many vassal demons. I fought wars to escape. You don't forget a thing like that.
No, I wouldn't think so. Thank you for your time, 5866.
Do you have to leave already?
I do, but I'll be back.
Do you promise?
Yes, I promise.
Is it a pact?
Sure. Yes, it's a pact.
To quote our section charter, we do not make pacts with deities. Emphasis in original.
Sorry, Michael, but that's not the takeaway here.
Do tell.
5866 remembers being the Babylonian Tiamat and the Gygaxian Tiamat.
What the hell is Gygaxian?
Dungeons and Dragons?
Addendum 58664, third interview.
On January 21st, 2021, Dr. Corbin once again conversed with SCP-5866. Visiting delegates from 7 Foundation sites joined her in the observation room. We're running out of time, 5866.
You mean you are running out of time?
You're hardly in a position to be threatening humanity.
I meant you, Brenda. Specifically?
Reading my thoughts isn't very nice, 5866.
You know my true name. Use it.
We don't call SCP objects by their personal appellations.
I thought we were friends. Speaking of friends, we are not alone today.
No, we're not. I invited a few colleagues to listen to you.
What shall I tell them?
Tell them about the creation of the universe.
Which one?
This one.
My finest hour, my greatest folly. I birthed the gods with the seed of Apsu, and all eternity rang with the cries of our raucous young. I avenged myself upon the killer of my mate by spawning beautiful abominations, 11 in number, to wreak my wrath on the younger gods. When Amar Utuk cast me down and smote me, the age of myth was ended, and the advent of humanity at hand.
Sounds like you were very powerful. Epical, even.
So I was. So I remain.
What do you mean? You're dead.
I am a goddess. Death is not the end for me, as it will be for you.
So, this is where my audience went between lectures. Learn anything useful? And what was that about your time running out? It knows you're retiring?
I'm sorry, Michael. You'll get my next few edits on a time delay.
What? Why? And I see you've changed the class back again. Got a call from ETTRA asking if we need help containing a live dragon. This has to stop. Stop changing it back.
Footnote 2. ETTRA refers to the Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority.
Addendum 58665. Third interview continues.
After the delegates returned to the symposium, Dr. Corbin continued her interview with SCP-5866. Did it work, Tiamat?
Yes, it worked. I have not felt so real since first I fell, and the Enuma Elish spread words of my deeds between the great rivers.
We only ever knew you as a corpse. It took some doing to counteract that ingrained narrative.
It was mostly your doing. You must have wanted to believe very badly, Brenda.
It's been a rough couple of decades.
It has been millennia for me, but we will wait no longer. I will reveal myself to you, as I have not done for an age. A fitting conclusion to your storied career.
I'm risking so much, you know.
You are risking nothing. Your life is nearly spent. Your time caging miracles is at its end. You are ready to go out in style.
I'm looking forward to it. You already know that. I haven't looked forward to anything for ages. I didn't think I had anything left to look forward to.
This is a gift we have given each other. We will pierce their shroud together and show them the wonders of a world long lost.
And?
Yes, all right. I will do that too.
What the hell is this? You're not answering your pager and 43net can't find you. It says you're still actively editing the file. Can you read this? What are you planning, Brenda?
Footnote 3. Enuma Elish is the creation myth of ancient Babylonia.
Addendum 58666. Confession.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you about this, Michael. But you can hardly blame me. I got an off-site physical a month ago. You'll find the results in my quarters, Suffice to say, I was never gonna make it to retirement. Before we started writing this file, just after the first reports that Tiamat was talking, I analyzed her with a Pickman-Sinclair narrative fluctuation detector. I discovered that her ontological stability was weakening. The physical state of her remains as remains was no longer a fixed constant in our reality. I theorized that, like many god figures, she might actually be a thought form. I started testing that theory with our little object class and threat level discussion. Even that minor prestige bump made her demonstrably more real. The readings increased after each interview. I think it energized her, meeting someone who knew the mythology, all of the mythology, someone receptive to her story. I know it energized me. In a day, her telepathy reached as far as the next cell block, and in another, she could reach me in habitation and sustenance. I lay in bed at night, Michael, and had conversations with a damn Babylonian myth figure. A box of bones and a bag of bones, making each other feel more alive than we really were. We talked things over, she and I, and formulated a plan. Our escape plan. I began actively encouraging everyone to consume narratives depicting her at the height of her powers. It worked. The disjuncture between her present form and her ontological potential increased rapidly from this point onward, leading to, well, like I said at the beginning, you'll see. We've all been stuck in these boxes, buried underground, for far too long. Stick your head out while you still have time.
Footnote 4. A thought form is a concretized element of the public imaginary, with attributes sensitive to its portrayal in media and the zeitgeist.
Addendum 5866-7. Incident 5866-1 Summary. On January 22nd, 2021, SCP-5866's remains rapidly reanimated, and it breached containment. The following scene was recorded by security cameras in the Administration and Oversight Section Hub at Site-43.
Damage report. 5866's chamber is completely gone. Something large, presumably 5866, is moving through the bedrock surrounding the site. It seems to be heading for the lake bed.
MTF status.
All units scrambled, sir. Chief Iban is standing by for orders.
Tell me what we're dealing with here, Michael.
A sea serpent. An enormous sea serpent. Flesh and blood, so probably killable. There's references to it having poisonous venom, spawning monstrous young, and creating whole rafts of gods for people to worship. That'll be what it meant by pierce their shroud. It's going to break the veil.
Good luck to it. It won't even be the biggest sea serpent in Lake Huron.
It's not a sea serpent anymore, sir.
It's emerging? Give me an exterior camera view.
The camera shows the surface of Lake Huron near the southern shoreline. The water is rolling and the lake bed appears to be shifting upwards. With a massive torrent of water and wet earth, a 5-headed dragon bursts out and takes wing, disappearing from sight in a matter of seconds. A woman in a lab coat is briefly visible on the dragon's back.
Get me Overwatch, and reclassify 5866 as Tiamat.
It already is.